I've been working at Brightside Marketing for exactly 2 years, 3 months, and 12 days when Sarah Chen got the promotion that should have been mine. I know the exact timeline because I've been counting down to that team lead position like it was Christmas morning. My cubicle was positioned perfectly to see everything that happened on our floor. Sarah sat diagonal from me, close enough that I could hear her phone conversations if she spoke above a whisper, far enough that we weren't forced into constant interaction. We'd started within 2 weeks of each other, both fresh-faced and eager during that awkward orientation week, where they make you do trust falls and learn the company mission statement. Back then, we'd even been friendly. We grabbed lunch at that overpriced salad place downstairs a few times, complained about the confusing expense report system, laughed about our boss Marcus's obsession with synergy and ideation. But somewhere along the way, things shifted, or maybe I just started paying closer attention. It began innocuously enough. I'd scroll through Instagram on my lunch break, and there would be Sarah at some vineyard in Napa, wine glass raised to the camera, golden hour lighting, making everything look magical. Sarah at a rooftop brunch with a table full of colorful cocktails and avocado toast arranged artfully for the perfect shot. Sarah at outdoor concerts, music festivals, weekend getaways to Palm Springs and Santa Barbara. Her life looked like a carefully curated magazine spread of millennial dreams. And then, like clockwork, she'd call in sick on Monday. The first few times, I didn't think much of it. Everyone gets sick sometimes. Everyone needs mental health days. But when it kept happening week after week, a pattern emerged that I couldn't ignore. Sunday night concert, Monday morning sick day. Saturday bottomless brunch, Monday migraine. Weekend trip to wine country, Monday stomach bug. Meanwhile, I was living a completely different reality. My typical day started at 7:15 when I'd arrive at the office, a full 45 minutes before anyone else. I'd use that quiet time to organize my projects, respond to emails that had come in overnight from our East Coast clients, and prepare for whatever fires needed putting out. I stayed late at least 3 nights a week, often until the cleaning crew arrived around 8:30, pushing their carts through the empty office while I finished presentations or refined proposals. I took on every project nobody else wanted. When Marcus asked for volunteers to handle the tedious quarterly reports, my hand shot up. When a difficult client needed extra hand-holding, I offered to be their dedicated point person. When someone called in sick or went on vacation, I absorbed their workload without complaint, believing that hard work and dedication would eventually be recognized and rewarded. I brought in 2 major clients through my own networking efforts. One was a former college roommate who'd become a VP at a tech startup. I'd spent months casually nurturing that relationship until she was ready to bring their marketing in-house. The other was someone I'd met at an industry conference, where I'd stayed an extra day on my own dime to attend more panels and make more connections while everyone else flew home early. My project completion rate was flawless. I'd never missed a deadline, never submitted work that needed major revisions, never dropped the ball on a client relationship. I knew I was good at my job. More than good. I was excellent, and I had the metrics to prove it. So when Marcus sent out that calendar invite for an all-hands meeting on a Tuesday morning in late September, my heart started racing with anticipation. Our team lead, Jennifer, had announced her departure 3 weeks earlier. She was moving to Seattle with her husband, leaving behind a position that came with a significant salary bump, a private office instead of a cubicle, and real authority over project assignments and team direction. I've been preparing for this moment for months. I'd updated my portfolio, documented all my successes, practiced my pitch for why I deserved the promotion. I'd even bought a new blazer for the inevitable interview, a sharp navy blue that made me look professional and competent. The morning of the announcement, I arrived early as always. I made coffee in the break room, chatted casually with people as they filtered in, tried to keep my expression neutral, even though my stomach was doing backflips. We all filed into the conference room at 9 o'clock sharp, claiming seats around the long table or standing along the walls when the chairs filled up. Marcus stood at the head of the table, his laptop connected to the projector, our company logo displayed on the screen behind him. He did his usual preamble about team culture and growth opportunities, and I forced myself to maintain eye contact, to look engaged and interested rather than desperately impatient. As you all know, Jennifer's departure leaves some big shoes to fill, Marcus said, and I felt my pulse quicken. We had several strong internal candidates, and the decision wasn't easy. But after careful consideration, I'm pleased to announce that Sarah Chen will be stepping into the team lead role effective immediately. The room erupted in polite applause. I heard the sound from very far away, like I was underwater. My hands had gone completely cold, that tingling numbness that happens when your body goes into shock. My stomach didn't just drop. It felt like it had been surgically removed. I couldn't breathe properly. The air in the conference room suddenly felt too thick, too warm, warm, suffocating. Sarah was standing near the front, and she looked genuinely surprised, her hand over her mouth in that practiced gesture of humble disbelief. People were congratulating her, shaking her hand, and I was supposed to do the same. I was supposed to smile and be gracious and professional. Instead, I mumbled something about needing to grab something from my desk and slipped out of the room before anyone could see my face. I made it to the bathroom and locked myself in a stall, pressing my forehead against the cool metal divider, trying to process what had just happened. 2 years of sacrifice. 2 years of staying late, coming in early, taking on extra work, building relationships, proving myself. And Sarah, who spent half her Mondays calling in sick so she could recover from her Instagram perfect weekends, had swooped in and taken what I'd earned. The injustice of it burned in my chest like acid reflux. I wanted to scream. I wanted to march into Marcus's office and demand an explanation. I wanted to quit on the spot, to walk out with my middle fingers raised, to make some grand gesture that would make everyone realize they'd made a terrible mistake. But I didn't do any of those things. I splashed cold water on my face, reapplied my lipstick, and went back to my cubicle. I sat down at my desk and stared at my computer screen, not really seeing anything, just trying to hold myself together. That's when something shifted inside me. The hurt and disappointment began crystallizing into something harder, sharper. Anger. Determination. If Marcus and the leadership team couldn't see Sarah's pattern of behavior, maybe I needed to make it impossible to ignore. I started paying attention in a way I hadn't before. Really paying attention. That Friday afternoon, Sarah left early, claiming she had a doctor's appointment. By Saturday morning, her Instagram story showed her at a farmer's market with friends, laughing over artisanal cheese samples and fresh cut flowers. Sunday, she posted photos from a concert at the Hollywood Bowl, the stage lit up in purple and gold, her caption full of heart emojis and song lyrics. Monday morning, she called in sick. I heard Marcus take the call, heard him sigh with frustration as he redistributed her meetings for the day. She claimed to have some kind of stomach bug, said she'd been up all night, couldn't keep anything down. I opened Instagram on my phone and stared at those concert photos from less than 12 hours earlier. She'd looked perfectly healthy, perfectly happy, living her best life while I'd spent Sunday meal prepping for the week and working on a presentation that wasn't due until Thursday. The pattern continued. The following weekend, Sarah posted a series of photos from a spa day with friends. Cucumber water, fluffy white robes, face masks, the whole aesthetic. The caption read something about self-care and treating yourself. Monday morning, she called in with a migraine, said the light was unbearable, needed to stay in a dark room all day. I started documenting everything. Not obsessively, I told myself, just methodically, just keeping track of facts. I created a folder on my personal laptop labeled sick day patterns and began taking screenshots. Instagram posts, Instagram stories, Facebook check-ins, tagged photos from friends. I noted the dates, matched them up with her call-in days, built a timeline that showed the correlation between her weekend activities and her Monday absences. 3 weeks after her promotion, we had a major client presentation scheduled. It was for a potential account that could bring in over $200,000 annually, a tech company looking to completely overhaul their brand identity and marketing strategy. Sarah was supposed to present the creative concepts while I handled the analytics and strategy portion. The presentation was scheduled for 10 o'clock on a Monday morning. At 8:30, my phone buzzed with a text from Marcus asking me to come to his office. My stomach dropped, but for a different reason this time. I knew what was coming. Sarah called in with the flu. Marcus said, rubbing his temples like he had a headache of his own. She said she's been sick all night, fever of 102, can barely get out of bed. We can't reschedule with a client. They're flying in from San Francisco specifically for this. I need you to cover her portion of the presentation. I felt my jaw tighten, but I kept my voice level. That's 90 minutes of material. Marcus, the presentation is in 90 minutes. I know it's not ideal, but you're the only one who knows the account well enough to pull this off. You've been in all the planning meetings. Can you do it? What was I supposed to say? No, that I couldn't handle it? That would just prove I wasn't ready for more responsibility. So I said yes, of course I said yes, and spent the next hour and a half in a panic, downloading Sarah's slides, trying to understand her creative direction, memorizing talking points, figuring out how to make her section flow seamlessly with mine. I pulled it off. The presentation went well. The clients seemed impressed, asked good questions, nodded in the right places. We landed the account 2 days later. Marcus thanked me profusely, said I'd really saved the day, said he knew he could count on me. But I was exhausted, bone deep, soul-crushing exhausted, and furious. Furious at Sarah for putting me in that position. Furious at Marcus for expecting me to just absorb the extra work without question. Furious at myself for always saying yes, for always being the reliable one, for always putting the company first. That afternoon, while I was still recovering from the presentation adrenaline crash, my phone buzzed buzzed with an Instagram notification. Sarah's friend Emily had tagged her in a video. Curious, I opened it. The video showed Sarah and Emily at some kind of luxury spa, the kind with heated stone loungers and infinity pools overlooking the ocean. They were both in fluffy white robes, laughing, holding champagne flutes, their faces glowing with that post-massage relaxation. The caption read, "Best friend spa day because we both needed this." I stare at my phone screen, my hand starting to shake. Sarah was supposedly home in bed with a 102-degree fever. She was supposedly so sick she couldn't sit at a computer for an hour to present to clients. But she was healthy enough to drive to a spa, healthy enough to get a massage, healthy enough to drink champagne and laugh for the camera. Something snapped inside me. This wasn't just about sick days anymore. This was about integrity. This was about honesty. This was about the fact that I'd worked myself to exhaustion to cover for her lie while she was out living her best life. I took a screenshot of the video. I added it to my folder, and I decided I was done being silent. For the next 3 weeks, I documented everything with meticulous care. Every Instagram post, every story, every tagged photo, every Facebook check-in. I created a spreadsheet that showed her call-in dates on one side and her social media activity on the other. The pattern was undeniable. September 16th, called in sick with a sinus infection. Instagram story showed her at a winery in Temecula, wine tasting with friends. September 23rd, called in with back spasms, claimed she couldn't sit at her desk. Tagging photos at a friend's wedding reception, clearly dancing and having a great time. September 30th, called in with a stomach bug. Posted photos from a beach day in Malibu, looking perfectly healthy in a bikini. October 7th, called in with a migraine. Instagram story showed her at a trendy brunch spot, table full of colorful food and cocktails. I had it all. Dates, times, screenshots, a clear pattern of deception. The evidence was overwhelming. Sarah was committing time card fraud, lying to our employer, and making everyone else pick up her slack while she enjoyed her weekends without consequences. Our weekly team meeting fell on a Wednesday in mid-October. Marcus went through the usual agenda items, discussed upcoming deadlines, reviewed project statuses. Near the end, he brought up something that made my ears perk up. "I want to address the elephant in the room," he said, leaning back in his chair with a tired expression. "I know everyone's feeling the strain. We're understaffed, we're overwhelmed, and the workload isn't distributed as evenly as I'd like. I'm working on getting approval for another hire, but in the meantime, I need everyone to really step up. We're a team, and we need to support each other." People nodded, murmured agreement, but I could see the frustration on their faces. Everyone was tired. Everyone was doing more than their fair share. Everyone except Sarah, who was gaming the system while the rest of us suffered. When the meeting ended and people started filtering out, I approached Marcus's desk. My heart was pounding, but my resolve was solid. "Marcus, do you have a minute? I need to talk to you about something important, privately." He looked up from his laptop, reading something in my expression that made him nod seriously. "Sure, come to my office." I followed him down the hall, my folder clutched against my chest like armor. He closed the door behind us and gestured for me to sit. I remained standing. "I need to show you something," I said, and slid the folder across his desk. Marcus opened it, his expression neutral at first, then shifting as he started flipping through the pages. I watched his face change in real time. Confusion as he tried to understand what he was looking at. Recognition as the pattern became clear. Anger as the implication sank in. Disappointment as he realized how badly he'd been deceived. He spent a full 5 minutes going through everything, not saying a word, just methodically examining each piece of evidence. The spreadsheet, the screenshots, the timeline that showed Sarah calling in sick on Mondays after posting about her weekend activities on Sundays. Finally, he looked up at me. "How long have you been tracking this?" 3 weeks of detailed documentation. "But I've noticed the pattern for months." He closed the folder and leaned back in his chair, his jaw tight. "Thank you for bringing this to my attention. This is serious. This is time card fraud. This is lying to management. This is making her colleagues cover her work under false pretenses." He paused, then met my eyes. "I know this can't have been easy for you, especially given that she got the promotion you wanted." "This isn't about the promotion," I said, and in that moment, I believed it. "This is about integrity. This is about fairness. Everyone else is working hard and playing by the rules, and she's taking advantage." Marcus nodded slowly. "I'll handle this. Thank you for coming forward." I left his office feeling vindicated, righteous, like I'd finally stood up for what was right after months of watching injustice unfold. I went back to my cubicle and tried to focus on work, but my mind kept drifting to what would happen next. The next morning, Sarah came into the office office right on time, looking completely normal. She had her usual iced coffee from the place downstairs, her bag over her shoulder, a smile on her face as she greeted people. She had no idea what was coming. Marcus called her into his office within 15 minutes of her arrival. I try not to watch, try to focus on my computer screen, but I couldn't help tracking the movement out of the corner of my eye. Sarah walked into his office looking relaxed. The door closed behind her. For about 5 minutes, there was silence. Then I heard raised voices. Not the words, just the tone. Marcus's voice, firm and angry. Sarah's voice, high-pitched and defensive, then breaking into what sounded like crying. The office had gone quiet. Everyone was pretending to work, but really we were all listening, all wondering what was happening behind that closed door. 20 minutes later, the door opened. Sarah emerged with tears streaming down her face, her mascara running in dark streaks, her whole body shaking. She didn't look at anyone. She walked straight to her cubicle, grabbed an empty box from the supply closet, and started packing up her desk in complete silence. People pretended not to stare, but everyone was watching. The office felt frozen, suspended in this awful moment of witnessing someone's professional life implode. Sarah packed up her framed photos, her coffee mug, her desk plant, her collection of colorful pens. Her hands were shaking so badly, she dropped things twice. Marcus stood in his office doorway, arms crossed, watching. His face was hard, unreadable. When Sarah finished packing, she picked up her box and walked toward the elevator without saying goodbye to anyone. The elevator doors closed, and she was gone. The office stayed quiet for another minute. Then slowly people started whispering, speculating, trying to figure out what had happened. I kept my head down, focused on my work, said nothing. That afternoon, Marcus called me into his office again. This time, his expression was different. Less angry, more thoughtful. "I wanted to thank you again for bringing that situation to my attention," he said. "What Sarah did was unacceptable, and it had been affecting team morale and productivity in ways I didn't fully realize. You did the right thing." I nodded, waiting. "I also wanted to offer you the team lead position. I know the circumstances aren't ideal, but you've proven yourself time and again. You're reliable, you're hardworking, and you have integrity. The job is yours if you want it." I should have felt triumphant. I should have felt vindicated. This was what I'd wanted for 2 years. But sitting in that office, looking at Marcus's tired face, all I felt was a strange hollowness. "Thank you," I said. "I accept." We shook hands. I got the promotion, the raise, the private office, the authority I'd been craving. I'd won. For 2 days, I felt nothing but satisfaction. I moved into my new office, started learning my new responsibilities, began making decisions about project assignments and team direction. People congratulated me, told me I deserved it, said they were glad to see hard work rewarded. Then, on Friday afternoon, I went to the break room to refill my coffee. Emily from accounting was there, and she was crying. Not just tearing up, but full-on sobbing, her shoulders shaking, her face buried in her hands. "Emily," I said hesitantly, "are you okay?" She looked up at me with red, swollen eyes. For a second, I thought she was going to tell me to leave. Instead, she just shook her head and said, "I can't believe Sarah got fired. I can't believe this is happening right now, of all times." Something cold settled in my stomach. "What do you mean, of all times?" Emily wiped her eyes, took a shaky breath. "Her dad has stage 4 pancreatic cancer. He's dying. The doctor said he has maybe 3 months left. She's been driving up to Sacramento every weekend to help her mom take care of him. It's been destroying her, watching him deteriorate like this. And now she lost her job, and she doesn't have health insurance, and I don't know how she's going to cope with everything." The break room tilted. I gripped the counter to steady myself. "What?" "Her dad is dying," Emily repeated, her voice breaking. "She's been spending every weekend with him because the doctors said it might be his last summer. Her mom can't handle it alone. Sarah's been trying so hard to keep it together, to not let it affect her work, but I guess it wasn't enough." I couldn't speak, couldn't move. My mind was racing backward through all those screenshots, all that evidence I'd collected, recontextualizing everything through this new, horrible lens. "The spa day. That wasn't a regular spa," Emily continued, reading something in my expression. "That was a medical spa where her dad was receiving palliative treatments. Sarah went with him for support, and afterward, we tried to cheer her up because she'd been crying all morning. The beach photos. That was a family trip," Emily said. "Her parents, her brother, Sarah, they planned it because the doctors said her dad might not make it to next summer. They wanted one last good memory together. The wine country trips, the concerts, the brunches, every single weekend activity I documented as evidence of her partying and lying. They were all her desperate attempts to maintain some semblance of normalcy, to have moments of happiness and distraction while her father slowly died and her family fell apart. And the Monday sick days. She wasn't recovering from hangovers. She was emotionally and physically exhausted from spending entire weekends helping her mother care for her dying father. She was taking those days because she couldn't function after watching someone she loved deteriorate, after changing his bedpans and helping him to the bathroom and holding his hand while he cried. I destroyed her. I'd gotten her fired for time card fraud when she was actually taking care of her dying father. I'd seen her social media posts and constructed an entire narrative of deception and laziness, never once considering that there might be context I didn't know about, pain I couldn't see, a whole private tragedy unfolding behind her carefully curated Instagram feed. I have to go, I mumbled, and left the break room before Emily could say anything else. I made it back to my new office, closed the door, and sat in my new chair behind my new desk. The promotion I'd wanted so badly suddenly felt like it was made of ashes. I could have asked Sarah why she was calling in sick. I could have approached Marcus with concerns rather than evidence. I could have given her the benefit of the doubt, extended some basic human compassion, considered that maybe there was more to the story than what I could see on social media. But I didn't. I've been so focused on the injustice I felt, so consumed by my own hurt and anger about not getting the promotion, that I turned into someone I didn't recognize. Someone who would systematically document another person's life for weeks, building a case against them, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Over the following weeks, I learned more details that made everything worse. Sarah's dad passed away 2 months after she got fired. She wasn't at his bedside when he died because she'd been at a job interview, desperately trying to find new employment before her savings ran out. She never found another job in marketing. Our industry is small and word travels fast. People heard she'd been fired for time card fraud and nobody wanted to take a chance on her. Her reputation was destroyed. Last I heard, she was working retail, trying to pay off the medical bills her father's illness had left behind. I got everything I wanted. The promotion, the raise, the recognition, the authority. I moved into a nicer apartment. I started going to nicer restaurants. I bought nicer clothes. On paper, my life improved dramatically. But every single day, I think about Sarah. I think about her sitting in that medical spa while her father received palliative care, trying to smile for a photo so her friends wouldn't worry. I think about her at the beach with her family, knowing it might be their last trip together. I think about her crying in Marcus's office, trying to explain, being shut down, watching her career implode while her personal life was already in ruins. I think about the fact that I could have approached this differently. I could have been kind. I could have been human. Instead, I was calculating and cold and ruthless, and I destroyed an innocent person's life to get what I want. The weight of that knowledge never leaves me. It's there when I wake up in the morning, when I sit in my office, when I make decisions about my team, when I go to bed at night. I achieved my professional goals, but I lost something far more important in the process. I lost my integrity. I lost my humanity. I lost the ability to look at myself in the mirror without seeing someone I'm ashamed of. Success isn't supposed to feel like this. Victory isn't supposed to taste like ashes, but that's what I'm left with. A promotion built on someone else's tragedy, a career advancement purchased with another person's suffering, a professional win that feels like the biggest loss of my life. If you enjoyed this story, like and subscribe for more.